Mom said we're doing Thanksgiving with just the well behaved kids. Yours can skip this year. My daughter started crying. I texted back, understood. I'll cancel my card for the event. They kept laughing, sending selfies at the table, totally unaware of what was about to happen next. The text came through on a Tuesday afternoon while I was folding laundry in my living room. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, and I picked it up expecting something mundane. Instead, I found a message from my mother that made my stomach drop. Thanksgiving this year will be immediate family only. The well-behaved children, that is. Your kids have been quite disruptive at past holidays, so we've decided they should sit this one out. You and Marcus are welcome, of course. I read it 3 times before the words fully registered. My hands started shaking. 8-year-old Sophie was upstairs doing homework, and 6-year-old Ethan was playing with his toy trucks in the corner of the room. My disruptive children, who had apparently committed some unforgivable sin. I thought back to last Christmas. Sophie had accidentally knocked over a glass of water reaching for the dinner rolls. My sister Jennifer's daughter Madison had laughed and pointed, calling Sophie clumsy. Sophie apologized immediately and helped clean up. My mother had waved it off at the time, but apparently she'd been keeping score. Ethan's crime was even more ridiculous. At Easter, he'd gotten excited and spoke a little too loudly about the egg hunt. My brother Derek's son Tyler had told him to shut up. When Ethan started crying, my mother comforted Tyler and told me that Ethan needed to learn indoor voices. Meanwhile, Madison had thrown a full tantrum at that same Easter gathering because she didn't win the egg hunt, screaming and kicking the basket. My mother had consoled her with extra candy and told Jennifer that Madison was just passionate. Tyler had deliberately broken one of my parents' garden decorations last summer and received nothing but a gentle "accidents happen, sweetie." The favoritism had always been there, lurking beneath the surface. Jennifer was the golden child who married a surgeon. Derek was the successful lawyer with a picture-perfect family. Then there was me, Joyce the middle child, who became a teacher and married Marcus, a mechanic. We weren't poor by any means, but we didn't have the same status symbols my siblings flaunted. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Sophie appeared, her dark curls bouncing as she came down. "Mom, can I have a snack?" "Sure, honey." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "How about some apple slices?" While I cut the apple in the kitchen, I reread the message. The casual cruelty of it struck me harder the second time. Not even a phone call, just a text, as if she were uninviting us from a casual lunch instead of excluding my children from a major family holiday. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a group text from my mother to the family chat, which included me, Jennifer, Derek, and their spouses. Looking forward to a peaceful Thanksgiving with the family. Jennifer, can you bring your famous sweet potato casserole? Derek, we'd love some of that wine you mentioned. She'd sent the exclusionary message to me privately, but announced the gathering to everyone else as if it were perfectly normal. My face burned with humiliation. Marcus came home from the shop around 6. I showed him the messages without saying anything. His jaw clenched as he read his knuckles going white around the phone. "Are you kidding me right now?" He looked up at me, anger flashing in his eyes. She uninvited our kids from Thanksgiving. Just them. We're apparently still welcome. Like hell we are. He handed the phone back. We're not going anywhere near that house. Wait, an idea was forming in my head, something that had been building for years. I need to make a call first. I went into our bedroom and closed the door. Then I pulled up my credit card app and looked at the payment I'd been making for the past 6 years. Every month without fail, I paid $847 toward my parents' home equity line of credit. The full story was something my siblings didn't know. 6 years ago, my father had gotten into financial trouble with a failed investment. They'd taken out a HELOC to cover the losses, but with my father's retirement income and my mother's part-time bookkeeping job, they couldn't manage the payments. They faced losing their house. I'd been the one they called crying and desperate, not Jennifer with her surgeon husband, not Derek with his lawyer salary. Me, the disappointment, the one with the disruptive children. Marcus and I had just finished paying off my student loans. We'd been planning to save for a bigger house, maybe take the kids to Disney World. Instead, I'd offered to take over the HELOC payments. The deal was simple. I'd pay the monthly amount until it was cleared. In exchange, they'd never mention it to anyone. My mother had been ashamed, you see ashamed, that they needed help, especially from me. I called the credit union that held the loan. After verifying my identity as an authorized payer, I spoke with a representative named Michelle. "I need to remove myself as the authorized payer on this account effective immediately," I said calmly. I'll make this month's payment since it's due in 2 days, but after that, all payment responsibility reverts to the account holders. I understand, Michelle said professionally. I'll need to process that request. The primary account holders will be notified of the change. Perfect. After I hung up, I drafted a text to my mother. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before I typed. Understood. I'll cancel my card for the event. I didn't explain which card. Let her think I meant the holiday. I sent the payment for November, then completed the paperwork to remove myself from the account. The December payment would be my parents' responsibility. And January. And every month after that for the next 9 years. Sophie knocked on the door. Mom, are you okay? I opened it and pulled her into a hug, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. I'm fine, sweetheart. Hey, how would you feel about going to Disney World for Thanksgiving this year instead of Grandma's house? Her eyes went wide. Really, 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 really. You, me, Dad, and Ethan. We'll see Mickey Mouse and eat turkey at a fancy restaurant. She squealed and ran to tell her brother. I heard Ethan's excited shouts from downstairs. Marcus appeared in the doorway, eyebrows raised. Disney World. We can afford it now. I just freed up $847 a month from our budget. Understanding dawned on his face. You didn't. I absolutely did. He grabbed me and kissed me hard. You're incredible. You know that. The next few weeks were busy with planning. I booked a package at a Disney resort, made restaurant reservations, and bought the kids new outfits for the trip. Every time I thought about the money we were spending, money that would have gone to my parents' HELOC, I felt a savage satisfaction. My mother sent occasional texts to the family group chat about Thanksgiving preparations. Can't wait to see everyone, and the table looks beautiful, accompanied by photos of her dining room decorations. I didn't respond to any of them. Jennifer texted me privately once. Are you coming for Thanksgiving? Mom said something about you guys having other plans. We're taking the kids to Disney World, I replied simply. Oh, that's nice. There was a long pause. Then, is everything okay? Everything's great. She didn't push further. The week of Thanksgiving arrived. We flew out on Wednesday morning. The kids were beside themselves with excitement, pressing their faces against the airplane windows and asking 1,000 questions. Sophie had made a list of all the rides she wanted to go on. Ethan clutched his Mickey Mouse stuffed animal that we'd gotten him before the trip. On Thanksgiving Day, while my family gathered at my parents' house in Ohio, we were having breakfast at Cinderella's royal table in Magic Kingdom. Sophie wore a princess dress we bought her, and Ethan had a little prince costume. They met Cinderella and got autographs, their faces glowing with pure joy. My phone buzzed. The family group chat was active. Jennifer had posted a photo of the Thanksgiving table laden with food. Blessed to be with family today. Derek added a photo of Tyler and Madison holding wine glasses filled with sparkling cider. Thankful for these amazing kids. My mother chimed in. So grateful for a peaceful, lovely holiday with my beautiful family. The dig was obvious. I silenced my phone and focused on my children, who were laughing as Cinderella complimented Sophie's curtsy. That afternoon, we rode Space Mountain 3 times because Ethan loved it so much. We ate dinner at a restaurant in Epcot where they served a full Thanksgiving meal. Sophie tried Brussels sprouts for the first time and declared them pretty good. Ethan ate so much turkey he fell asleep on Marcus's shoulder during a fireworks show. Friday morning, I woke to 17 missed calls and a barrage of text messages. My mother, Jennifer, Derek, even my father, who rarely texted. The messages from my mother were increasingly frantic. Joyce, call me immediately. This is urgent. Call now. I don't know what you've done, but you need to fix this right now. How could you do this to your own parents? Jennifer's were confused. Mom is freaking out about something with their house payment. Do you know what's going on? Derek's were accusatory. What the hell did you do? Mom is crying. I sipped my coffee on our hotel balcony while Marcus got the kids ready for another park day. Then I called my mother. She answered on the first ring. How could you? Her voice was shrill. How could you abandon us like this? Good morning to you too, Mom. We're having a wonderful time in Florida. Thanks for asking. Don't you dare take that tone with me. The credit union called. They said you removed yourself from the payment account. The December payment is our responsibility now. We can't afford it. $847 a month. You know we can't. That is unfortunate. Joyce Hastings, this is not funny. We could lose our house. Well, then I suppose you should have thought about that before you uninvited your grandchildren from Thanksgiving because they're too disruptive. What did you think was going to happen? Silence. Then that's what this is about. You're punishing us over a holiday dinner. The audacity made me laugh sharp and bitter. You excluded my children, my babies. You sent me a text saying they weren't good enough to be included in the family gathering. You hurt Sophie so badly she cried herself to sleep that night. But you want to talk about punishment. They needed to learn. Learn what? That their grandmother thinks they're inferior to their cousins, that Madison can throw tantrums and break things and get praised for being passionate. But if Sophie accidentally spills water, she's disruptive. That Tyler can tell Ethan to shut up, but Ethan's the problem for getting excited. You're being dramatic. No, Mom. I'm being done. For 6 years, I've paid nearly $1,000 a month to save your house. That's over $60,000 of my family's money. Money we could have used for vacations, for savings, for our kids' college funds. And you know what? I never asked for anything in return. Just basic respect, basic kindness toward my children. We've always loved your children. Loved them. You just told them they're not welcome at family Thanksgiving. Do you have any idea how that feels to know your own mother thinks your kids aren't good enough? I heard muffled voices in the background. My father had probably grabbed the phone. His voice came through gruff and uncomfortable. Joyce, honey, your mother didn't mean. Don't, Dad. Just don't. You both made a choice. I'm making mine. The house payment is your responsibility. It was always your responsibility. I took it on to help family, but I'm done helping people who hurt my children. You can't just abandon us. My mother had wrestled the phone back. You're our parents, and Sophie and Ethan are my children. They come first always. Something you should have remembered. Jennifer and Derek will hear about this. Go ahead and tell them. Tell them everything. Tell them how you've been too proud to admit you needed help, so I've been secretly saving your house for 6 years. Tell them how you repaid that by excluding my kids from Thanksgiving. I'm sure they'll be very interested. Another silence. She hadn't thought that through. Here's what's going to happen, I continued, my voice ice cold. You're going to call Jennifer and Derek and ask them to help with the house payment. You're going to split it 3 ways, $282 each per month. They can certainly afford it with their fancy jobs and successful marriages. We can't ask them. Why not? Pride. Well, your pride has a price tag now. Figure it out, Mom. Please, Joyce. I have to go. My children want to ride the Haunted Mansion. We're making memories as a family, something you apparently forgot the meaning of. I hung up. Marcus leaned against the doorframe. How did it go? She's panicking. Good. He grinned. You're scary when you're angry. It's kind of hot. I threw a pillow at him. The next few days in Disney World were magical. We rode every ride Sophie wanted twice if she asked. We ate Mickey-shaped ice cream bars and watched parades. Ethan got to drive a race car at the Speedway and talked about it nonstop for hours. We took hundreds of photos, the kids beaming in every single one. My phone continued to blow up, but I ignored most of it. Jennifer called 4 times before I finally answered on Sunday. Explain, she demanded. Mom says you've been paying their house payment for 6 years. Yep. And now you've just stopped. Yep. Joyce, they could lose their house. Then maybe you and Derek should help them out. You know, since you're the successful ones with the well-behaved children. This is ridiculous. You can't hold the Thanksgiving thing over their heads forever. Watch me. It's not like Mom meant anything by it. She just wanted a calm holiday. By excluding my kids, her grandchildren, Jennifer, how would you feel if Mom told you Madison wasn't welcome at Christmas because she wasn't well-behaved enough? Silence. Exactly. You'd lose your mind. But when it's my kids, I'm supposed to just accept it. Smile and nod and let them be treated like second-class family members. It's not the same. It's exactly the same. The difference is you've never had to deal with it. You're the favorite. Your kid is the favorite. Derek's kid is the favorite. My kids. They're the consolation prizes, the backup grandchildren. That's not true. Really. When's the last time Mom bragged about Sophie's straight-A report card or posted about Ethan winning his soccer tournament? She plasters Facebook with Madison's accomplishments and Tyler's achievements, but my kids might as well be invisible. Jennifer didn't respond immediately. When she did, her voice was smaller. I didn't realize. Of course you didn't. Why would you? You're busy being the golden child. That's not fair. You want to talk about fair would have been Mom calling me 6 years ago to ask for help with gratitude instead of shame. Fair would have been acknowledging what I've sacrificed for this family. Fair would have been treating all her grandchildren equally. None of that happened. So excuse me if I'm fresh out of fairness. What do you want from us? Nothing. I don't want anything. I wanted a family that valued my children. Since I don't have that, I'm done pretending. So you're just cutting everyone off. I'm protecting my kids. There's a difference. She sighed. Mom wants to talk to you. I'm sure she does. Tell her she has my number. Joyce. I have to go. We're about to meet Elsa. I hung up before she could respond. Derek texted me that evening. We need to talk about Mom and Dad's situation. I replied, "You mean the HELOC payment? Split it with Jennifer. $282 each. Easy." That's not the point. That's exactly the point. Welcome to being a supportive child. It's expensive and thankless. You'll love it. You're being petty. I'm being a mother. My kids deserve better than being treated like burdens. He didn't text back. Monday evening, we flew home. The kids fell asleep almost immediately on the plane, exhausted from 5 days of park adventures. Marcus held my hand, and I stared out the window at the clouds below. My phone had 43 unread messages. I scrolled through them quickly. Most were from my parents, alternating between guilt trips and anger. A few from Jennifer trying to mediate. Derek had apparently called Marcus, who'd responded with a simple "Joyce's decision stands. Deal with it." There was one message that caught my attention, though, from my mother. "We can't afford the payment even if Jennifer and Derek help. Please, Joyce, we're begging you." I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me felt guilty. These were my parents. They'd raised me, fed me, put me through college. But then I thought about Sophie's face when I'd explained why we weren't going to Grandma's for Thanksgiving. The way her lip had trembled. The way she'd asked, "Did I do something wrong?" My heart had shattered into 1,000 pieces. I thought about all the times I'd bitten my tongue when my mother fawned over Madison while barely acknowledging Sophie's achievements. All the times I'd watched Tyler be cruel to Ethan while the adults laughed it off as boys being boys. All the years I convinced myself it wasn't that bad, that I was being too sensitive. The message remained unanswered. We landed close to midnight. After getting the kids into bed, I sat down with Marcus at the kitchen table. "They're desperate," I said quietly, showing him the text. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. I'm angry. So angry. But they're my parents. They hurt our kids." "I know. They chose favorites and made Sophie and Ethan feel less than. That's not something you come back from easily." "I know." He covered my hand with his. "Whatever you decide, I support you. But remember, our kids are watching how we handle this. We're teaching them what they should tolerate from people who are supposed to love them." His words hit home. Sophie and Ethan would learn from this. If I backed down now, I'd be teaching them that people could mistreat them and still demand their loyalty. That family got a free pass to hurt them. I picked up my phone and typed a message to my mother. "The payment is your responsibility now. You can ask Jennifer and Derek to help, or you can refinance, or you can downsize to a smaller house. Those are your options. What you cannot do is expect me to sacrifice for people who treated my children as disposable." I paused, then added, "If you want any relationship with me or my family going forward, you owe Sophie and Ethan an apology, a real one. And you need to understand that things will never go back to how they were. You broke something. Whether you can fix it remains to be seen." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The response came quickly. "You're destroying this family." "No," I typed back. "You did that when you sent that text. I'm just refusing to clean up the mess anymore." The next morning, Sophie found me making breakfast. "Mom, are we still not going to Grandma's for Christmas?" I crouched down to her level. "Do you want to go to Grandma's?" She twisted her hands together, thinking hard. "I don't know. It made me feel bad when she said we couldn't come for Thanksgiving. Like maybe we're not good enough." My heart clenched. "Baby, you are more than good enough. You're perfect exactly as you are. Then why didn't Grandma want us there?" How do you explain adult pettiness and favoritism to an 8-year-old? Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Grandma made a big mistake and she hurt your feelings. That's not okay. Is that why we went to Disney World instead? Partly, but mostly because I wanted to spend Thanksgiving with the people who matter most, you, Ethan, and Dad. She hugged me tight. I like Disney World better anyway. Over the next week, the family drama escalated. Jennifer called in tears, saying I was tearing the family apart. Derek accused me of being vindictive. My father left a voicemail saying I was breaking my mother's heart. Through it all, I stood firm. On the following Tuesday, 2 weeks after the original text, my mother called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Joyce." Her voice sounded old, tired. "Can we talk? Really talk?" "I'm listening." "Your father and I have been discussing everything with Jennifer and Derek, too. They've agreed to help with the house payment." "Good. But that's not why I'm calling. I need to apologize to Sophie and Ethan. You're right. I was wrong. So wrong." I waited, saying nothing. "I got caught up in appearances," she continued, her voice cracking. "Jennifer and Derek have these successful careers, and their kids are so polished and perfect, and I wanted to show them off. I guess like their success was my success. And in doing that, I made Sophie and Ethan feel less important. I can't imagine how much I hurt them, how much I hurt you." "You have no idea," I said quietly. "Sophie asked me if she'd done something wrong. She thought she wasn't good enough for you. My mother made a sound like a sob. Oh, God. Joyce, I'm so sorry. I never wanted. I didn't think. No, you didn't think. You just acted, and you hurt my babies. Can I see them? Can I apologize to them in person? I hesitated. They're my priority, Mom. Not your feelings, not the family peace, not keeping up appearances, my kids. I understand. I do now. If you come here, if you apologize, it doesn't fix everything immediately. You damage their trust. That takes time to rebuild. I know. I'll do whatever it takes. And things can't go back to how they were. No more favoritism, no more comparing them to their cousins. They get treated equally, or you don't get access to them at all. Yes, absolutely. Joyce, I swear. I'm not done. You also need to acknowledge what I've done for you and Dad financially. Not just to me, but to Jennifer and Derek. They need to know the truth. Silence. Then quietly, okay. I mean it, Mom. No more secrets. No more shame. You tell them I've been paying your mortgage for 6 years. Or I will. I'll tell them today. Then you can come over this weekend. Saturday afternoon. We'll see how it goes. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet kitchen for a long time. Marcus found me there an hour later, staring at my coffee cup. She called, I said. And she's coming Saturday to apologize to the kids. He pulled me into his arms. How do you feel? Tired, angry, sad, relieved maybe. I don't know. You stood up for our kids. That's what matters. Saturday came. My mother and father arrived at 2 o'clock looking nervous. Sophie and Ethan were in the backyard playing. When the doorbell rang, I let my parents in but didn't hug them. Marcus stood beside me, a united front. My mother's eyes were red-rimmed. Thank you for letting us come. I nodded toward the living room. Sit, I'll get the kids. Sophie and Ethan came inside, immediately going quiet when they saw their grandparents. They looked at me uncertainly. Grandma and Grandpa want to talk to you both, I said gently, sitting on the arm of the couch near them. My mother knelt down on the floor, putting herself at eye level with the kids. Sophie, Ethan. I need to say something important. I made a very big mistake. I hurt your feelings when I said you couldn't come to Thanksgiving, and that was wrong. So wrong. Sophie bit her lip, looking down. You are both wonderful children, my mother continued, her voice shaking. You're smart and kind and creative, and I'm so lucky to be your grandma. I should have told you that more often. I should have made sure you always felt loved and special. Ethan moved closer to me. You didn't want us at Thanksgiving. You're right. I made a terrible choice, honey. I was thinking about the wrong things, and I hurt you, both of you. I'm so sorry. Can you forgive me? Sophie looked up at me. I gave her a small nod, letting her know it was her choice. Why did you think we were bad? Sophie asked quietly. My mother's face crumpled. I didn't think you were bad. I was being foolish and paying attention to the wrong things. You're not bad. You're perfect. Madison broke the egg basket and Grandma gave her candy, Ethan said suddenly. But when I got excited, Grandma said I was too loud. The room went very quiet. My father looked at the floor. You're right, my mother said. I treated your cousin differently than I treated you, and that wasn't fair. It was wrong. You deserve better. You deserve better. Will you do it again? Sophie asked, and the simplicity of the question cut through everything. No, sweetheart, never again, I promise. Sophie studied her grandmother for a long moment. Then she said, okay. But if you do, I'll be really sad. I won't. I promise I won't. Ethan was still skeptical. We went to Disney World for Thanksgiving. It was better than your house anyway. Despite everything, I had to hide a smile. My mother actually laughed, though it came out watery. I bet it was. That sounds like so much fun. We rode Space Mountain 3 times. Ethan warmed up slightly. And I met Buzz Lightyear. That's amazing. I'd love to see pictures sometime if your mom wants to share them. Sophie moved forward cautiously. You really promise you won't be mean again? I really promise. My daughter looked at me again, and I gave her another nod. She stepped forward and hugged her grandmother quickly, then stepped back. It wasn't the enthusiastic embrace of before, but it was something. Progress isn't linear. The relationship between my parents and my children didn't magically fix itself that day, but it was a start. My mother kept her word about telling Jennifer and Derek. Apparently that conversation was explosive. Jennifer called me, crying, apologizing for not understanding what I'd been dealing with. Derek was more reserved, but he acknowledged that he'd been blind to the favoritism. They both started contributing to the house payment. Christmas was different that year. We hosted at our house instead of going to my parents'. My mother brought gifts for all the grandchildren, and I watched carefully to make sure they were equal in value and thought. They were. Madison got an art set. Tyler got a science kit. Sophie got an art set too, and Ethan got a matching science kit. Sophie noticed. She looked up at me with surprised, happy eyes, and I smiled at her. After dinner, while the kids played with their new toys, my mother found me in the kitchen. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for giving me another chance." "I didn't do it for you," I replied honestly. "I did it for Sophie and Ethan. They deserve to have a grandmother who loves them properly. I do love them. I always have. I just lost sight of what was important." "Don't lose sight again." "I won't." We stood there in my kitchen, a fragile peace between us. It wasn't forgiveness, not fully, but it was something. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and the kids were in bed, Marcus and I sat on the couch, surrounded by wrapping paper debris. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Good, I think. It's strange. A month ago, I was so angry I could barely see straight. Now, now I feel like I finally stood up for what matters. My kids know I'll protect them. That's worth more than any family peace." He kissed my forehead. "You're an amazing mother. You know that. I'm just doing what any mother should do. Not every mother would have done what you did. Walking away from family is hard. Standing your ground when everyone's telling you you're wrong is harder." They weren't wrong about everything. I could have handled some of it differently. Maybe. But you handled it the way you needed to. And look at the result. Your parents are actually treating the kids equally now. That wouldn't have happened if you'd just accepted the Thanksgiving exclusion. He was right. If I'd swallowed my anger and showed up at my parents' house without my kids, nothing would have changed. Sophie and Ethan would have continued to be the afterthought grandchildren. The pattern would have continued. Sometimes love means boundaries. Sometimes it means walking away. And sometimes it means making people face the consequences of their choices, even when those people are your parents. My phone buzzed with the text from Sophie's room. She had an iPod we let her use for music and messages within the house. "Thank you for the best Thanksgiving ever, Mom. I love you." I smiled and typed back, "I love you too, sweetheart. Sweet dreams." That text meant more than any apology from my mother ever could. Because at the end of the day, my job isn't to keep the peace or maintain family traditions or make sure everyone else is comfortable. My job is to make sure my children know they're valued, loved, and worth protecting. Everything else is secondary. The story could end there with a tidy bow on the resolution, but life is messier than that. Over the following months, there were good days and bad days. My mother occasionally slipped into old patterns, catching herself midway through a sentence praising Madison while ignoring Sophie's similar achievement. I'd give her a look, and she'd correct course. Jennifer and I grew closer surprisingly. She admitted she'd been jealous of how independent I was, how I'd built a life without needing constant validation. We started having coffee once a month, just the two of us. Derek remained distant. His pride had been wounded by discovering he wasn't the financial savior he'd imagined himself to be. We were cordial at family events, but nothing more. The kids recovered faster than I expected. Children are resilient like that. By spring, Sophie was excitedly telling me about a craft project she wanted to show Grandma. The HELOC situation resolved itself too. Jennifer and Derek split the payment 3 ways with my parents. My father picked up extra work consulting for his old firm. They refinanced at a better rate. By summer, they'd actually thanked me for forcing them to address their financial situation properly. As for me, I learned that standing up for yourself and your children doesn't make you a bad daughter. It makes you a good mother. That Thanksgiving text was the catalyst, but it wasn't the cause. The cause was years of accumulated hurts and unspoken resentments. Canceling that card, removing myself from their financial obligation, was about more than money. It was about showing my children that they have value, that they deserve to be treated well, and that we don't accept crumbs of affection from people who should be giving us whole loaves. A year later, Thanksgiving came around again. This time we hosted. My parents came, but so did Jennifer's family and Derek's family. My mother made sure to compliment all the children equally. During dinner, my father stood up to make a toast. "To family," he said, looking directly at me, "and to the people who remind us what family really means." Sophie squeezed my hand under the table and smiled up at me. That smile was worth everything. Worth the difficult conversations, the family drama, the guilt trips, all of it. Because at the end of the day, my children will remember that when the world told them they weren't enough, their mother said they were everything. They'll remember that I chose them over keeping the peace. They'll remember that their worth was never negotiable. And me, I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is draw a line in the sand and refuse to cross it. The selfies my family sent from that Thanksgiving table still exist somewhere in my phone. I never deleted them. Sometimes I look at them and remember the rage I felt, the hurt, the absolute certainty that things had to change. Those photos represent the last time I let anyone make my children feel lesser. My mother learned that love without respect is worthless. My siblings learned that the quiet middle child had a backbone of steel. My father learned that enabling bad behavior has consequences. But most importantly, Sophie and Ethan learned that they have parents who will always put them first. Was it revenge? Maybe, but it was also justice. The card I canceled wasn't just a credit card payment, it was a symbol of everything I'd given while receiving nothing in return. Canceling it was the best decision I ever made. Sometimes people need to lose something before they understand its worth. My parents lost my financial support and nearly lost their grandchildren. 3 Thanksgivings have passed since that text message. This year, my mother asked Sophie to help her make the pumpkin pie. She asked Ethan to set the table and told him he was her best helper. She became the grandmother my children deserved, but only after I forced her hand. People ask me sometimes if I regret how I handled things. I look at my daughter, who now walks into family gatherings with her head high. I look at my son, who speaks up confidently around his cousins. Then I answer, not for a second. The greatest gift I gave my children wasn't the Disney World trip. It wasn't even standing up to my mother. The greatest gift was showing them that love means action, that protecting them might cost relationships, but they're worth it. My mother said we were doing Thanksgiving with just the well-behaved kids, and my daughter started crying. I texted back that I'd cancel my card for the event. They kept laughing, sending selfies at the table, totally unaware that their comfortable life was about to shift. They didn't know that the daughter they'd underestimated was the one holding their world together. They didn't know that respect is not optional. They learned. Oh, they learned. And my children learned too. They learned that they have a mother who will protect them fiercely. They learned that family is about more than blood. As I watch Sophie help her grandmother in the kitchen and Ethan laugh with his grandfather over a board game, I feel something settle in my chest, perhaps the beginning of something new built on honesty and boundaries. My family survived the earthquake I caused. Some relationships grew stronger. That's the price of truth. I'd pay it again in a heartbeat. Because every time Sophie achieves something and wants to tell her grandmother knowing she'll be celebrated, I know I made the right choice. Every time Ethan runs to show his grandfather a drawing confident in his reception, I know the pain was worth it. They'll never know what it feels like to be the afterthought grandchild. My job was to fight that battle so they wouldn't have to. The text message that started it all is still in my phone. Thanksgiving this year will be immediate family only. The well-behaved children, that is. Sometimes I read it to remind myself why boundaries matter. Then I look up at my children, thriving, confident, and secure in their worth, and I smile. They wanted a peaceful Thanksgiving without my disruptive children. Instead, they got a lesson in consequences and a very expensive education in the true meaning of family. And I got what I wanted all along. Children who know